Welcome to the Planet Purl video tutorial, One Row Buttonhole, coming to you live from the swamp. Supplies for today's lesson: yarn and straight needles. Now we're going to start with this little swatch of stockinette stitch, and we're going to place a 4-stitch buttonhole in the middle. So if we do a 4-stitch buttonhole in the middle, we're going to have 3 stitches on either side of the buttonhole. So first we're going to knit across the first 3 stitches. Last one. Now to make the buttonhole, we're now going to bind off the next 4 stitches. So to bind off, of course, we'll knit the first stitch and then knit the second and pass the first stitch. This is binding off and knit. If you haven't done it before, we have a video called Bind Off and Knit that you should go watch. So we're now going to bind off 4 stitches. There's 1. And 2. 3, and we'll bind off 1 more. Right, so we have 3 stitches, and then we have 4 bound off in the middle. We have the 1 stitch left from the bind off, and then the last 2 stitches. So we have 3 stitches on either side of a 4-stitch bind off. So now we're going to turn the work around, and we're going to have to put those stitches, create those stitches above it to finish the top half of the buttonhole. Since we're working in reverse or working in stockinette, we'll go ahead and work in purl for the first 3 stitches. Now to recreate the stitches that we've taken off, we're going to need to cast on. And you can use almost any cast on. If you're using a really big buttonhole, you're going to want to do a knitted cast on, but this isn't a very big one. Well, it wouldn't be if it wasn't in huge yarn, but so we're going to just use a simple E or backward loop cast on, which if you've never done it before, we have a video which you can go back and watch. So we're just going to cast on the 4 stitches. If you were going to do a knitted cast on, you would turn it around, cast it on, turn it back, and then finish the row. So here we have the 4 stitches have been cast on above the bind off. Then we're just going to finish the purling the row, or working in pattern if you were working in seed stitch or something else. And then when you turn it around, you'll see that there are now stitches above the hole we created with the bind off on the row below. So now we're going to work this row just as if it were part of our regular knitting. Since we're working in stockinette, we'll go ahead and knit this row. And we knitted all the stitches, including the ones we just cast on, and it created the row above, and then we would just continue to work. Now, normally when I do a buttonhole like this, I'm concerned about the buttonhole stretching out, and there are things you can do to strengthen it. I take my yarn needle and a little bit of yarn, and I stitch across the edges just to reinforce the edge of the buttonhole, the same way you would if you were sewing a buttonhole. And now Tally's going to give you an opportunity to appreciate her button nose. Sweet girl, Tally Bow. Come visit us soon at planetpurl.com.